To do
Oh
it.
no. Hey everyone, we are live. Thank you for joining me on this Monday night stream. And I know that I say this every time, but this is a subject that I've wanted to talk about for quite a while. And I can't think of better guests to have on my program to talk about such subjects than the two guests I have. With me, as always, is Thrash Pondo Pons.
Well, that was weird.
I thought he was playing with my name for a second.
Oh, you're muted there.
I'm muted too?
No, Eon's muted.
Oh,
You are muted. Oh,
There we go.
now you're unmuted. There you are.
Okay. All right. Well, scary for a second. So, as I was saying, I can't think of better guests to have on the show than these two Thrash Pondo Pawns here with us, as always, as kind of my sidekick co-host on this, and the lovely Robbie-Ann, who is one half of the Glitter Boom Girls, to talk about Generation X stuff. Something is happening here.
Oh, hang on. Did you lose me?
for
I
a
did.
millisecond.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
For a
something's weird happening here. Okay. It says
Yeah.
you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you.
Yeah, for a millisecond there. Okay. Wow, there's something going on with my. Oh, I got this. Hang on a second. Well, I am having technical problems here.
Now you know how it feels.
I know, right?
Gremlins.
Okay.
While he works on that, Robbie, remember the first show I did with you where I have my headphones off and I'm talking into them?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's the
they
only way I
weren't
could get
working.
decent sound.
Right.
Much better headphones.
Right.
Well,
and yeah.
let's see if I can redeem
Yeah,
myself here with all the going in and going out. We are talking about literally, I mean, you can't talk Gen X without talking about big wheels, bicycles, roller skates, and skateboards. And we're going to go through our progression each and our history. And I want to hear from you guys as well. What was your favorite? Let's say hi to some people who are here.
Darnell Johnson says, the only thing I know about skateboarding from the Tony Hawk video, and don't ask me the name of it because I have no idea, and the Jan and Dean song Sidewalk Surfing.
Right on. And then I'm just going to go through these real quickly. Zuperplex is here. Tracy Rothmeyers is here.
Oh, Tracy. I remember Tracy.
Oh, she's wonderful. And I should say
Tracy.
Honeycomb Hideout. Tracy is here. Did I say hi to Daryl Johnson already?
Yes, that was first.
Okay, that was the first one. All right, let's see. They're just starting to repeat themselves. And John Collins is here, and he's got a long one. So I'll let you go ahead and read that, Thrash Pondo.
Mr. Collins, welcome to the party.
Honeycomb Hideout member, Mr. Collins.
Honeycomb Hideout. Hear ye, Harry, let be known my crippled feet don't push, pull, glide, or otherwise make anything wheels ambulate or otherwise use force friction to induce propulsion. I do indeed have complete loyalty, Ian.
Oh, thank you very much. And, last thing I wanted to do by doing this was being insensitive, but it was a part of a lot of people's growing up years. So we are going to talk about it today on the program. And look who else is here.
Brainwood in. How are you doing, Justin? I looked around forever at stores in 1985 for Marty McFly's the Valterra Splatter. I actually looked that up recently. It was a complete and total myth. There is no such thing as a reverse magnetic earth centrifugal force skateboard. It was completely made up.
Next thing you know, there's going to be no such thing as a DeLorean time machine. I mean,
what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do?
My world is shattered.
So I think that, this is kind of, in my mind, about getting around, like, as a kid. Like, how'd you get around as a kid? You had the whole traditional walking thing. But, as a kid, I want to go to my friend's house and, maybe play their Atari or something like that, or play Pong and down at the video store. And how are you going to get there? And my earliest mode of transportation was, and I think for a lot of kids, was a big wheel or a green machine. Robbie, what was your earliest mode of transportation besides just bipeding it?
I got to go with the tricycle.
Oh, the
I
tricycle.
had a
Yes.
little red tricycle, with the white grips and the little tassels hanging. My memories are kind of vague of it, but I know it was around the house for a long time, even after I got too big, like when you ride and you're you're like too big to ride it. But I did have a big wheel too, and have the brush burns to prove it.
Oh no. Did you wiped out then a few
Oh,
times, or?
every time I got on the thing, I wiped out.
And
Yeah.
I can just, imaginarily hear your dad saying, just shake it off, Robbie.
Oh, walk it off.
Oh, walk it off. That's
Yeah.
right. Walk it off.
Just walk it off. But Dad, I'm bleeding. Half of my skin is on the pavement. Walk it off. It'll be all right.
You'll be fine. You'll
Get
be
some
fine.
fresh air.
Did I do remember the sad day when my knees were kind of a little too big for my big wheel. I had a green machine actually. Do you remember the green machine?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a little different because instead of a wheel that turns, my grandfather bought it for me, and we were actually living on a one of those. I don't know if you remember these things. They came up in the 60s and 70s, and they were real popular, especially in Southern California. They were like hippie Christian communes, and we lived on one. It was called the Ranch, and my grandfather brought down one of them for me. And yeah, I remember that because instead of like driving, they had these two shifters that you shifted this way to go
Right.
left and this way to go right. They were a lot of fun. Thrash, what about you? What was your first mode of transportation besides bipeding it?
I too had a tricycle, and it was this glorious 70s sparkly green color.
Oh,
It was
green one.
a green one, yeah. And it had a little step on the back for when kids were too small to climb on, they could walk up and then hop on the back seat.
Right.
And as I was big enough to actually put a leg over it, I used that for a little carton of milk and an individually wrapped fruit pie, my favorite snack. And I would ride around the neighborhood with my individually wrapped Hostess fruit pie and carton of milk and think I was just like, it was my domain. I was like holding quarter over my kingdom. I am king of Woodbury Avenue. And I would just go around on my little tricycle, and it was a blast.
Wait. Hold up. What flavor fruit pie?
Oh, apple. You gotta go with apple.
What about your favorite fruit pie?
Oh, I was all about the blueberry.
Oh goodness,
Blueberry fruit pie.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's in a
You
very.
know what? I wouldn't turn down an apple.
Nor I a blueberry. And if I was in the right mood, the lemon cream. If I was in the mood for a lemon cream, I was all over the lemon cream too, but apple was my default. Much like
apple was my default too. I had apple and
Apple
cherry.
juice.
They were my two favorites.
Cherry pie was, yeah. I mean, cherry anything.
Yeah, for sure. We got some comments coming in here. I want to acknowledge them.
excellent, Tracy Myers. I hope you're feeling better, Tracy. She was under the
Yes.
weather the other day.
Oh,
Never had a big wheel too old. Really? Because we're the same age, and I too had a big wheel.
yeah. I'm old as dirt. So if I had one,
She's lying. No.
She's
That's the
bluffing.
real
She's
reason.
bluffing.
Yeah, right.
Right.
We all know
right.
you had a big wheel, Tracy.
John Collins. Robbie-Ann did. Oh, I'm sorry. Robbie-Ann, I did send you guys a show idea via your show Twitter account in a direct message. I think it would be a wonderful, interesting subject matter. I hope you guys look at it. Thanks for the book.
Oh, good. Oh, John, you got the book. Yeah, John. I was gonna actually ask if he received that book. Amy sent him an autographed copy of her book, Sunset Strip Diaries, and we did get the message on Twitter. We're backed up about 10 episodes with subjects, but yeah, we're throwing it in there. So thank you for that. We love DMs. Like, I think I wrote you back too. I should have. I have a vague recollection of writing a bunch of people back on Twitter. So, but yeah, thank you for that, John. We appreciate it. I'm glad you got the book too.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Um, I know what you're talking about, Robbie, with show ideas. Like there's so many ideas that you come up with. You're like, I need to do this. I want to do this. And
Right.
yeah, you get backed up on ideas for sure.
Yeah, and you have to I mean, I don't know if people really realize how much of the how much work goes into doing this, right? And it's fun, like it's, it's not like digging ditches, but you really do have to plan and you have to kind of organize stuff behind the scenes. And sure, you can do things at the last minute and you can kind of do things on the fly, but for the most part, it works better for us, especially if we kind of plan things out. And what we have a saying: "We are not a ratchet organization." That's our motto. So, like, we try to be as professional as possible.
Right. I liked your catchphrase. Well, at least it was kind of I don't know, a catchphrase, but a motto that you shared with me. Like, we don't take ourselves seriously, but we take the show seriously.
Yes,
And
yes, that's true.
yeah,
Great
that's a
credo.
great one. All right, got some more comments coming
Good.
in here.
Truth with Mars said, I liked my Schwinn banana seat bike. Yes, the banana seat.
So what it almost seems like the big wheel's kind of a rite of passage until you get to your tween years and you get that bike, that first bike, or something else other than maybe it was a pair of roller skates, maybe it was maybe it was a skateboard. For me, I did go to the bike kind of next. And it's kind of funny because the banana seat. So I was, 10, and we had some really good friends, and for Christmas they bought me a bike, and it was really super nice of them to buy me a bike. But this was the most flamboyant bike you could ever imagine. It was colorful. It had a huge banana seat that was multicolored. And I actually took it to a bike show that they were doing at near my house, and I got most colorful bike for it. And I was happy to get it. I was trying to be appreciative, but I'm like, as a 10-year-old boy, it really wasn't, what I wanted.
There's actually an award for most colorful bike, or did they make that up? It was like, well, most colorful. There you go.
I think that's probably it. Probably back in my mind, back then I was like, "Hey, Mom, I got this award for the most colorful bike," but they were probably thinking, "Gosh, what could we say about this bike that's positive?" And just most colorful seemed to be the what they landed on. How did you guys graduate from? We got to say hi to Lance Chaffin just 1 second here. Hey, Lance, glad you could join us. What was the next evolution for you guys after the tricycle and the big wheel? How did you graduate to the whatever was next? Whoever wants to go, I don't care.
No, you go. Crash Ponder, you go.
Very well. I just wanted to add, I also did have a big wheel as well. I used to ride around that. It was weird because my folks were split up, so I had the tricycle with the mom that I live with, and my dad bought me the big wheel. The problem is, yeah, so I had both. It was like in a two different element setting. He's lived in like a condo complex, and I used to ride around first thing in the morning, and it had that little thing. It was like a BB set on a spring. They made the whole da 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 sound when you rode the big wheel around. Right. He took that off so the neighbors wouldn't complain. But I still rode my big wheel around, and I did have the big wheel for some time as well. But speaking of my father, he bought me my first bike, and he bought me my first bike before I could even ride a bike. And it actually sat in our cellar for about 18 months. And those of you who know anything about Cape Cod know that it's very, very, very damp. So when I finally brought it out to ride, mine wasn't the most beautiful bike. In fact, what had happened was, all the really pretty metallic paint that they painted everything with back in the 70s had flaked off, and it looked like a hand-me-down. It had rusted. So I'm learning to ride on what everyone thinks is this hand-me-down bike, and it was actually brand new, never ridden before. And I would have been, I'd say about 7 at that time. And you know how I learned how to ride? This is a true story. I had a much older cousin who saw himself as a sort of protective big brother of me. And he brought me to the top of a hill. Now, again, this is Cape Cod. We don't really have like Berkshire's level hills, but some of them get pretty steep. He took me to the top and let me roll down. And I learned to pedal with the movement and steer. And that's how I learned how to ride a bike. It was like being dropped from an eagle's nest. I felt like the eagle chicks. And I'm like, and you know what the funniest part of that is? It wasn't the first attempt I learned how to ride that bike. There was a couple of oops spills, but I did learn to ride a bike from, again, being pushed down a hill. And I did have that. And of course, it was Cape Cod, so it was a dirt bike because there's all those dirt trails in the Cape, and we used to ride all of them.
Well, I eventually did get the dirt bike my eye was on. My mom bought it for me. Before I'm jumping ahead of myself, man. I'm going I'm jumping ahead. So, Robbie, I want to hear your story. Please enlighten us. What was your next big step up as growing from a girl riding the bike, riding the big wheel to what was next?
Well, I'm going with Tracy. I had a banana seat bike, and it was purple glitter, and the banana seat was it was like a silver glitter, like a disco, which was right up my alley. And I'm probably giving a preview of at Christmas time. We have a Christmas episode coming up, but my dad, it was so great. It was Christmas Eve, late 70s, and winter outside. My dad's parents were over for Christmas, and I had been begging and begging and begging for this banana seat bike. So, we're sitting around Christmas Eve, and I had opened my presents and stuff, and my dad goes, "Did you hear that? What is that? Something's outside." And and everyone's like, "Huh, what?" So he goes, "I'm gonna go check that out." So he goes outside and he leaves the door open and he wheels the bike in, from like the cold.
Oh my!
It was so, and I was like I was floored, scream. And I remember riding the bike inside the house, like down the hall, because it was winter, so I couldn't ride it outside.
How old were you again?
I was probably 8, maybe.
Oh yeah, 8 years old. Wow, yeah. That is awesome. I bet you were just so surprised at that.
Oh God, yeah, because I kept getting, my dad's big thing was always, we'll see.
So you kept bugging him about a bike, right?
Yeah.
Now, was that the bike especially that you bugged him about, or was it just any bike?
That I didn't have a specific, it wasn't a specific color or anything. I just wanted a bike, and anything that was disco-fied, like so my parents, they were like, "Okay, well, we're gonna get her a bike." And oh look, glitter,
Yeah, this is like right up her alley.
Yeah. Oh my God, I had that bike for years. Yeah, years.
I got to acknowledge a couple other people who have jumped on here. Flick Snacks and Knickknacks. Just want to say hi. He says, I was a big inliner. And we'll get to that. Yeah. Danny Staten, how you doing, brother Danny?
Danny.
We had an awesome episode the other day talking about Bigfoot over on Dave Sundstrom's channel. That was a great episode, and glad that I could actually be on an episode with you. Was totally honored. And we have a question that has come in.
A question. John Collins. Ian, does riding on a skateboard while holding onto the back of a truck actually work, like in Back to the Future?
John, you're a big fan of the show. You know me too well. Let me wrap up my bike story, and I will get to the next level of the skateboard story, because I think bike's kind of kiddie, and then skateboard's kind of like you're starting to be cool, or roller skates. You're starting to come to your own. You want to be hip. You want girls to like you at this time of your life, not just your friends thinking you're cool. This is crazy because my grandmother, she actually got me my first bike before that bike I talked about before, but I only had it for a little while because we moved Anyway, interesting backstory. But like I couldn't ride, I was like wobbling, like any kid would do. You ride, and she made me do all these extracurricular activities, like walk on a straight line and try to walk with my hands out. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm trying to teach you balance. It's like she tried to Mr. Miyagi me.
She should have just to the top of a hill and let you go.
But that's eventually how I learned to ride, because she did all this stuff. She made me walk on a board across like 2 tables and stuff like that to try to get me to
Do you feel like it helped though? Do you feel like all that, because isn't that a whole different kind of balancing to me, like being on a bike and then walking?
That's a good question. I don't know if it helped or not.
It didn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't hurt anything, but whether or not that actually was the key ingredient into my success as a bike rider, I who knows? I really don't know. But it was interesting. I was like, "What are you making me do this for?" She's like, "I'm trying to teach you balance." And she was just I think she had just she went to college late. And so I think she just kind of got out of college, and she was studying like child psychology and stuff. And so I think she was trying to implement some of that with me or something. So anyway, but I eventually got this really cool blue dirt bike that I had my eye on for such a long time. Oh my gosh. I used to have my Sony Walkman. I used to play Eye of the Tiger, and I used to ride that thing around like it was nobody's business, man. I had this whole movie fantasy in my head that I was shooting missiles out of my bike, and I was the star of my own show.
Mega Force.
Super embarrassing. Had no filter. As I've said before on the show, I really didn't have a filter between reality and me being raised by a single mom too. Everything I did was golden. So, all right. Okay. So John Collins does ask this question. I do have to get to it, and I have to let my guest speak at some point too. It does not the 2 to 3 times I tried it. Okay. Not the 2 to 3 times I tried it. Your body gets pulled. I did try this. I got a skateboard. I got one of those, Back to the Future was out. I got one of those fat skateboards, was super happy about it. And I did try to ride the back of cars on a couple of occasions, and it doesn't work. The car, even if it's going slow, pulls you faster than the wheels can go. At least that's my experience. So, I mean, who knows? I was 13 or something at the time. So no, it does not. Let me just say this. It didn't work for me. And with that being said, let's skip ahead now. I really want to hear whether or not what was your next evolution? How long did you have a bike? Well, I mean, like, what were the years that you were like, hey, I'm a bike rider to get to my friend's house, to get to the arcade? What were those years for you, Robbie?
By the way, my heater is making some weird noises here, so I don't know if you can hear that, but
I cannot. As long as it's not a murderer.
Well, hey, you know what? If that's how I go, okay. So I lived in a real wooded area, so I could ride my bike. It was kind of a gravel driveway that we had, and like this is the purple disco bike. But my parents would throw the bike in the International Scout.
Okay.
I remember those cars. And we'd go to either one of my grandparents' houses, and they both lived in neighborhoods. So I would ride around, and my mom's mom, you could ride your bike to the corner store and buy candy. And that's because I lived in such a rural, woodsy place. Like, I mean, I thought I was so cosmopolitan, little 8-year-old kid, like going and buying my own candy with my cousin Michelle. Oh, shout out Michelle. But yeah, so in my own house, it was more about riding through the woods, like, and I obviously could only do that in the gravel paths and stuff. But yeah, when I was real young, the disco bike didn't really go too far. When I got the 10 speed,
Oh.
and we moved to a kind of a better neighborhood, not a better neighborhood, but like a more houses, like an actual neighborhood with a paved road and a paved driveway. Yeah, then I started tooling around and like riding my bike places.
That
But
is some sophisticated stuff there. Like whenever I think of somebody riding a 10 speed, I'm like, that is such sophistication. That's like, if you see somebody riding a dirt bike, you're like, that's either a kid or an awkward adult. If you see somebody riding a 10 speed, especially back then, you're
yeah.
like, either that could be a kid or that could be a regular adult.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna jump ahead for a second here. Okay,
Okay.
so for my 30th birthday, I was living in Redondo Beach, LA, and or was it? No, it must have been a little bit later. So 34, something like that. And I decided to buy myself a new bike because I hadn't had a bike for a while. Like, we should talk about that, like the period where you don't have a bike.
Okay.
Like
Yes.
college or whatever. There's always some period where just the bike's not there.
Right.
But I walked into this bike store and I'm like, "Oh, so I'd like to buy a bike," and the guy keeps showing me these beach cruisers, with the handlebars up like this,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "No, no, no." I said, "I want the 10 speed, with the the handlebars that go down." He goes, "10 speed?" Now this is like the early 2000s, right? And I'm like, "Yeah, 10 speed." And he's like, "Huh?" Like, they don't make 10 speeds anymore.
Really?
Right.
No, and they
I
call
don't
them
think
road
so.
bikes now.
Yeah,
So
they
I had a whole education. I was like, "Oh, okay, I want a road bike."
they make mountain bikes now. Like that's kind of like the adult bike now is kind of like mountain bikes and those kind of bikes that you're talking about, the cruisers and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have did you have bike friends, like bike gangs, like friends that all had bikes and you all went somewhere or anything like that?
I didn't. Did you, Thrash Pondo?
No, no. I did have a few friends who also had dirt bikes, and we used to ride the dirt trails in my hometown. I found out the reason my mother always pushed for the dirt bike is because she didn't want me riding it on the streets. In a residential area, on like where the houses and stuff are, that's fine. But like anything greater than just your neighborhood avenue was a little sketchy for her. Even if I was paying attention, she was afraid some driver who wasn't paying attention would cream me. So I didn't get my first road bike until middle school. And by that time, there was always a couple guys who'd go riding with me. The big thing is we didn't have a mall in our town. It was the next town over. And we found that with a little discreet, we used to cut through the industrial park. We'd ride down to his house, cut through the industrial park. We'd come out on the other side, and we'd be down the street from the big mall on Cape Cod. So when we actually got to go to the mall by ourselves, oh, now we're men. We're actually we don't need our grandmother to give us a ride to the mall anymore. We can do it on our own, and that was sort of a big deal. But again, that probably wasn't until late middle school.
Did you guys try any tricks on your because I used to love that. Do you remember that movie Rad?
I remember, didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see Rad? Oh,
I remember it though, but I didn't see it.
Goodness, go out and watch it. It is the cheesiest, corniest. It's about bikes and doing tricks on them and doing the boomerang and laying them flat.
Yeah, who's in it?
I don't know. Who knows? I think
No.
No one of consequence.
Yeah, it's called Rad. It's a bike show. I think those are the words you have to put in. I think it had the girl who played. She was in Full House as I think Jesse's wife in Full House. She's the one that got in trouble recently for the college thing.
Yes,
I think she was in it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Here it is. Rad, 1986. I got the old IMDb out here. And it looks cheesy. Oh, yeah. Oh, Lori Loughlin. Yeah, that's her name.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is okay. I got to add this to my list.
It's hilarious. It's especially back then I thought that was the bombest show in the world. It has not held up well but it has not held up well very comically. So it's worth watching, if you know what I mean. Let's get to some of these comments here.
Tracy Ross Meyer says, does anyone remember putting baseball cards in the spikes?
Never did it. What about you guys? Did you ever do that? Or
yes, I used to do that.
I did not do that. I put ribbons and stuff on it though. I wove ribbons around the thing.
More aesthetic than noise producing.
Right.
Right.
I souped it up.
They did have this bike though, and I think either a friend of mine had it, or it was like a friend of a friend, kind of, where it was a regular bike, but it had a motorcycle looking kind of thing on between the front wheel and the bar, and it had basically a thing that made it sound like a motorcycle. So it would go down over it. It kind of looked like the gas tank on a motorcycle. And as you would ride it, it would make kind of mimic the sound, but I think it was just kind of cards in there. So that was cool. And we got somebody else. Hey, Jill.
Jill Carter. Oh, hello, Jill Carter. Welcome to the party. Hello, everyone, she says.
Hi, Jill Carter.
Those Myers again. Ian, you are too funny.
Well, I don't know which joke you're talking about, but I'm sure all of them killed. So thank you very much. Indeed. Thank you very much. And Spike Spikerson.
Spike Spikerson. Hello, Spike Spikerson. I remember making snow tires for my bike by wrapping rope around the wheels. Worked for a while, but I got in trouble for stealing the clothesline. Who hangs up clothes during a snowstorm in the first place, Spike?
That's funny.
That's clever, though. Like, I hope Spike's parents realize, like, well, you shouldn't have stole the clothesline, but that's pretty genius.
I didn't get to your story, Thrash Pondo. What were the years that you had a bike?
I believe, it's funny you mentioned college. I believe I had a bike right up until I went to college. And then I went to a town, it's out in the Berkshires. And it was all like just real steep hills. Bikes were not conducive there. In fact, this is actually a very sad story. A good friend of mine actually died. She had a bicycle accident. She wiped out going down a hill.
Oh, no.
And we lost her. So I didn't use my bike during that period. When I first came back, I actually dusted off my old bike because I couldn't afford a car. And I used that bike for a while to get to and from work. And so I don't think I really stopped being a bike person until I got my first car.
Well, that's good. All the way up to your junior prom. No.
Bump.
Well, let's see. I wiped out on a bike many times myself, but I never I never even heard of anybody who got killed. But there was a big deal. Like, they were always like, wear your helmet. And we're like, oh yeah, I'm going to wear my helmet. And as soon as nobody's looking, that helmet comes flying off.
This was before helmets.
I never fell off my bike.
You never fell off your bike? Really?
I have.
Never fell off.
In fact, I have a really nasty scar right there, actually, because I was dumb and I went like this. But with the sound effects and everything. Superplex. I stopping bike riding in my teenage years. NYC was not congenial for bike riding in those days.
I could see that.
Yeah. I don't know if I would let my little kid ride around New York City. Certainly not today.
No. But probably not then either. John Collins. I do have one Christmas bicycle story. A nurse that was taking care of me from the institution I lived in got me a bike, which I begged for her. It was so sad for her because she knew I couldn't ride it. Oh. John.
Wow. How are we going to cheer this up now? We've got a death.
Wait a minute though, but
Scotch.
I'm new. I don't know John all that well, right? I don't know him as well as you guys. So can I ask John a few questions?
Sure, you go ahead. Ask away. I'm sure he's fine.
Okay, so John, do you have wheels in your seat right now? Like, is it an electric wheelchair or something that you're sitting in?
I don't. We'll have to see if he answers that. We'll wait till he responds. But yeah, I do. I don't know if it's electric or not, but I do know. Yeah.
because the reason I'm asking is because some of those electric chairs that I've seen, people that I've known who've, like they're relegated to it basically, right? To get around, they can't get around without it. They are cool. I mean, they
Yeah.
are like they're so complicated, and the tires and stuff, they go over like curbs and all kinds of crazy stuff. And
Yeah.
there was one guy that I used to know who would I sung in a bunch of bands, and he would come and see a band that I was singing in, and he had a caretaker who would bring him around, and he had a lot of difficulty speaking, so he used one of those pads, like he would type out what it would say, and he was so funny. Like he was super clever. He had the best sense of humor. And we would stand there and wait. And he had this crazy souped up chair. I mean, it was a really neat chair. And he could control some of it, like with there was a thing he could control with his mouth and his jaw and then his hands. But you would stand there and you'd be talking to him, and he would be typing out the punchline, of something, or typing out, because he was a real smartass. So he would type out some smartass response, and you're like, I saw, and then and then you'd see it coming, and you'd just be like, oh, good one.
Good one.
Yeah, he was.
I got a sidebar here for a minute. What you were in bands? So what? You were a singer in bands?
Yeah. Lots of bar bands. Oh wait, okay. I'm sorry to interrupt the sidebar. I'm going to sidebar with a sidebar, but I see
John Collins. Yes.
Yeah, he responded there.
John Collins responds, yes, it's definitely motorized wheelchair. It even tilts the seat back portion.
Oh, see?
Cool.
You're styling.
Yeah. Like those, they're really remarkable, units. And for people, I mean, for people that need them to get around, they're really pretty extraordinary. So that's pretty cool, John. I don't know anything about what kind, or who makes them or anything like that, or how they, like, is it electric? I mean, it's got to be electric, right?
Yeah,
like, does it
yes.
charge up?
Yeah.
Do you plug it in, or
He has to get in back. Vroom, 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 vroom,
right,
vroom.
right.
And then he's ready to go.
I know. See, so like here, we start this show out like, John, you thought that you wouldn't be participating in this because we're talking about big wheels and stuff, but you're the star of the show right now. So
Right on. What a turnaround.
He's always the star of our show.
Yeah.
You go, John.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
So tell me about the bands, though. What kind of music did you play?
Right. So it's just I've been singing since I was in high school, and just like bar bands and cover bands, and like you go to a beer joint and there's some band over there. Well, that'd be me.
Oh, cool.
Singing with a bunch of guys.
That's
It's
cool.
really fun. I'm in a band now still, a couple of bands actually, but the whole shutdown and all that really kind of slowed all that down. Yeah.
Right on. I've been in a few bands myself.
Oh, what do you play?
I play guitar and I sing.
Oh, that's right. I think I've seen you on videos, right? Like doing worship and stuff. No?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I think there was one early one where I was doing some music for, like that was quite a while ago. Yeah. I normally, I really more consider, I mean, I can sing, but I consider myself more of a songwriter. And that's really the only reason I play guitar, is so I can write my own music. So I could, especially back when I was in one band a long time ago, and me and the guitarist didn't get along. He wrote the stupidest lyrics, and I would come in and change them. I'm like, those words aren't coming out of my mouth, your stupid cheesy lyrics. And so I'd write, and we get in this big fight, and eventually, I was out of the band, and so I started my own band. And I had been playing guitar before, but I picked it up again so that I could write music to sing. So that's kind of kind of where I was at with all that. I actually liked it. I actually liked the most part, like the song being done, and all I had to do was come in and do the lyrics and sing. That was kind of pretty cool. But whenever and that was like for the most part, that's what it was like. But he would insist on, so if he wrote some lyrics, he would insist that I'd sing them, and then I just would never sing them live. I just made up alternative lyrics, and then he got really mad when we were going to go record an album, and that was the end of it. We were just like, I'm not singing that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sing your cheesy Angels of Death, lyrics. And yeah,
I don't think I'd sing that either.
Yeah, he wasn't the best lyricist. I, however, am a brilliant lyricist. So I have written songs for other people as well. So just so not to toot my own horn, but here I go. All right.
My own.
Yeah. Okay, so next, let's see. Well, we got Dave in the house. Look at this.
Dave Sundstrom. Good to see you. John is a heck of a great guy, and that statement has nothing to do with do-re-mi. No, Dave, I couldn't agree with you more.
Wait, what does that mean?
Oh, money.
No, I mean, I know what do-re. I mean, I know what that means. I don't know what the reference is.
Oh, to John Collins, the young man we were just talking about.
Oh,
he's a wonderful, wonderful man.
No, I know John is a wonderful man. I don't get the money part though. What does he mean by it?
Oh, because he's actually
a supporter of
Dave's channel.
Of Dave's channel and this channel as well.
Okay, all right.
We got to move on to skateboards or roller skates. I'm going to let you pick.
Something with
I have a love affair with both of these. Had my first, major girlfriend at a roller skating rink, but I was really into skateboards. Had the worst crash of my life on a skateboard. But if you had to, what was your alternative to riding a bike? Was it skateboard? Was it roller skates? Which was it? Robbie-Ann, go for it.
It was Mom's Gremlin. Yeah, if I wasn't riding my bike, Mom in her yellow Gremlin with the denim Levi's custom denim upholstery. She drove me around in that thing, and I did. Somebody said they inline skated, right? I do that now.
Flicksnack said that.
Yeah, and I would go to the rink, the roller rink, because what were they playing at the roller rink? Disco. So I would hang out there. I'm not that good though. Like I can't stop. I can't go backwards.
That going part's pretty good, but you start stopping. Yeah, and that's that. Yeah.
But the whole skateboard thing though is interesting to me because I've tried to ride a skateboard. Oh my God, what a disaster. Like I just don't get it. So yeah, if you can ride a skateboard, I want to hear that story.
Yeah, I don't know if I could. When I was younger, I could. I haven't stepped on a skateboard in good night, who knows how long. But I definitely rode a skateboard. There was the skateboard that I wanted really, really badly for Christmas one year, like 12, 13. It was definitely after Back to the Future came out, and it was called Nightmare. And I remember because like the bottom of the board, it had this cool picture on it, and it had Nightmare painted across from it and all this stuff, and it was green and it just looked too cool, and I wanted that so bad, and I didn't get it. I found out my parents had already bought me a skateboard with a picture of a ninja on it because I was into ninja stuff, as we all know. So I got that and I rode it around. I tried to jump off curbs and all kinds of stuff. And I never really did too much other than trying to hang on to the back of cars. We had these huge hills where I was at. I mean, these huge hills. I mean, it was just, and I went down this hill one time and it just started. I mean, my skateboard got the wobbles and all that stuff, and boom, over, and just road rash all over the side of my body. It was awful. I think they called that hill the Devil's Backbone or something like that. I can't remember, because a lot of kids rode their bike down it. It was a regular street. But a lot of kids rode their bike down it or their skateboard down it, and it was awful. But roller skates.
You like roller skates?
Yeah, how about you, Trash Pondo? I keep calling you Trash Pondo because
Oh, quite all right. I answer to everything.
because of Guardians of the Galaxy when Star-Lord calls him a trash panda. I just can't like.
I think Trash Panda's adorable, by the way. You want to call me Trash Panda? Go ahead.
Sorry.
but
Trash Pondo.
I'll answer to everything, including late for dinner, although I seldom am. But I'll tell you what, it was my 8th grade school trip. And I had never gone roller skating in my life, even though it was the peak. In fact, my wife laughs at me because there were 2 roller rinks on Cape Cod at the time, mid Cape. It was the mid skate and Cape skate. I forget what it was, but it was all over the place. And that's how the guys always met the girls. They learned how to roller skate and went to the skater rinks. Down here, though, we were playing things like Rock Lobster and stuff, but never learned to skate. But the last night of our school trip, my best friend who was on the trip with me says, you got to come out. They're taking us to a skate park. I'll teach you how to skate. It'll be fine. I promise you. And he was teaching me to skate, and my foot went, and I spent the rest of the trip on crutches. So that was my debut and swan song to roller skating. It was not for me, I'm afraid.
Oh no! Oh no!
Things happen. Things happen.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I had some bad experiences roller skating too, falling down, that kind of stuff. It wasn't quite as terrible.
Yeah.
I remember there was the outside skating too. Do you remember the lock, the key, that you could get for your shoes? The skateboard thing that the skates.
Yeah,
that you get for the shoe?
those are tools of the devil and instruments of torture. Because I cannot tell you. I mean, talk about twisting up your foot. How many of those damn things came off my foot, and the little buckles rotted, and like I hated those I hated those skates. I just like. Even I hear that song. I got a brand new pair, and I'm like, shut up. No offense to Melanie, but I have such horrible memories. And the wheels were metal. So,
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I was probably doing it wrong, but.
That was a previous generation skates. That was like my grandmother used those.
I never was able to get those to work. I think I had a friend.
Right?
I never had any that I had myself. Yeah. And it's like outside skates. It's like you not at a skate ring then? No, the outside skates. Okay.
Cross country skating. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd rather walk.
Let's see here. We got some comments going by here.
Superplex. I would pay good money to see T-Pawns ride a skateboard. Yes. I should start a GoFundMe. I get enough money, I will wipe out on a skateboard.
Well, yeah, and then you'll use that money to pay for the hospital, right?
What do they call that thing where you go down the stair rail? Right? There's a phrase.
Oh,
for
yeah,
it.
Yeah. Right.
A lawsuit waiting to happen.
Ticket to the ER.
Let's start with just an even pavement, and we'll work up from there.
Yeah, I couldn't even balance on the thing. So.
Oh yeah. What? Well, real quick. What about those scooters? Remember those? Did you get any of the '80s scooters? There was a brief period of time. It was like they didn't get very popular. They were right after the skateboard, and they were kind of neon looking. And they were scooters.
I don't think I've ever been on a scooter in my life.
Yeah.
No.
People were trying to do tricks with them. They just didn't catch on. Not like the skateboard or the bicycle.
Yeah.
Mopeds got pretty big. I think that was the thing that kept that niche knocked. Daryl Johnson says, I had a skateboard from the 60s. It was red and had metal wheels. A real sidewalk surfer.
Sidewalk surfer. Oh, I love
Sidewalk surfer.
That's they used to call them that. This is kind of crazy, the evolution of the skateboard, because I'm sure you guys remember before Back to the Future came out that the skateboards were like these thin things.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? They were like thin and made of real thick plastic, and like, I don't know. And they really, what they were trying to do was create what you would see a surfer do, on the wave. They weren't their own when they first came out. They weren't their own like mode. They were
Oh.
really trying to imitate what happened, what a surfer would do on the waves. And then they became their own thing, and then they keep changing all the time. First it was the fat skateboard with the fin on the back, and then it would be fat on one end and then kind of thin, and then the back would lift up. And then there was the one with the fins on both ends. Remember those? Those were for the tricks.
Oh.
So you'd go up, and then you could ride it both directions, and you could use the fin on both ends. Now they got those big fat ones again. All right.
Dave Sundstrom. I used to skateboard home from school while in junior high and high school. Now that I'm older, my balance is shot. No more skateboarding for me. Same page club, Dave.
Yeah, it happens, right? Like there's something weird. I don't know if it's a core, like a muscle thing. Because I found if I'm doing some kind of core work, working out, it does help. But it's like in your inner ear, right? Like something isn't, the little hammer and what do they call those bones in your inner ear?
Drum.
Yes, thank you. No, there's like a hammer and a. All right, I'm gonna look it up now because it's going to be crazy. Talk
Hammer and sickle.
A hammer and a sickle, a hammer and a nail,
arm and hammer. If I had a hammer.
Yes,
I had a hammer.
We're playing the $25,000 pyramid game here.
Eggs and hammer.
Earbone's name. Okay. Oh, anvil. The hammer and anvil.
That was too obvious.
And a stirrup. The hammer is attached to the eardrum. There you go.
I'm with you.
The anvil in the middle of the chain of bones. The stirrup is attached to the membrane-covered opening that connects the middle ear with the inner ear.
Huh.
The more you know.
Wow. You know who should have known that?
Who?
Me. Because I actually did in the 7th grade, I did a science fair. And I did, how you'd had to do the science project? And the year before I did the eye, and the year after, because my mom was a nurse, I did the eye, and the year after I did the ear. And I forgot all that stuff. I'm such a failure.
Crazy.
Well, it was 7th grade. I don't even remember 7th grade.
It's unusual for me to forget things, actually. So that's kind of, now I forget plenty. But
my mom was a nurse too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Was she an LPN or an RN?
She was an RN.
Oh, really? My mom only got her LPN, and then she was like, I'm done with being at school. I got plenty of work.
It's a lot. Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, and now in my state, you actually have to have a bachelor's degree to be a nurse. It's not its own thing anymore. I don't know if it's like that with where you are in your state.
Yeah, it's like there are people that are grandfathered in, but now, you have to get your bachelor's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened at the hospital.
They work so hard.
Everybody had to go back to school and earn a bachelor's degree to be a nurse now. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. All right, let's see. Dave Sundstrom says,
not a fan of roller skating.
Not even at the rink with the disco, Dave? Not even.
Or the B-52s?
It's not for everybody. I could kind of understand.
I don't understand that. I think it's global. I don't get it. It's like air, food, water.
I'll tell you what. Skating. Every Friday and Saturday night for many years, I was at the roller skating ring from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And the most I could do on the roller skates was I could go backwards a little bit. I tried to go. Were you able to do that? Go backwards?
I can go backwards as a demonstration. But I can't go backwards out of necessity. Like if I had to, if it was like, oh my God, I got to go backwards. Nope. But I can kind of slowly.
You can kind of slowly. You had to get that thing with your legs doing this thing.
Push the whole squiggle line. Yeah, there's a great retro rink here. A little bit north of Buffalo. There's a town called North Tonawanda. And
you made that up.
No, no. A lot of what are they? First people, indigenous people's names are on here. Cheektowaga, Tonawanda, Skajakwada. It's the Iroquois tribes. So there's a rink called the Rainbow Rink,
Oh,
and it
that's
is
pretty.
it's fantastic. It's a throwback, you know, it hasn't been all remodeled and redone. Like it's like the 80s, and the people that own it are so cool, and they have a retro night on
Oh
Wednesdays.
man.
I've been known to turn up on retro night,
Oh man.
and you know what's great is I see these young kids, you know, that are like they look to me to be in their late teens, early, you know, maybe early 20s, and they are just hot dogs. Like they are doing tricks and all this crazy stuff and, you know, zooming around, you know, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, all right, I got it. But they're just like zooming in and out. It's really cool to see. Like it's a thing, you know, and they've got the 4-wheel skates. I've got
Yeah,
my inlines, you know, I have my rollerblades, but they've got these 4 wheels and stuff. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. People are
that's
still doing
awesome.
it.
I think I just realized why I became such a movie buff in my younger days. While you guys were going to the rink, having the times of your life, I went to the cinema where I could just sit there and stuff popcorn into my mouth and and watch a Steve Reeves movie.
Who the F is Steve Reeves? It's from Rocky Horror, in case you didn't know.
It is.
We were just talking about that the other day. We're talking
That's
about
what made me think
the
of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
cult
Yeah.
classic movies on
Yeah,
our
'cause-
last podcast.
because Friday
Oh
and
yeah,
Saturday nights,
I haven't heard
I
that
was a
one
Rocky
yet.
Horror.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Oh,
Rocky
you got to
Horror. I
Rocky
haven't
Horror.
seen it in years. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I had to explain to a young person the other day. I don't know, a couple of months ago. A girl had watched it on video, you know, and she was young. She's in her early 20s. And she's like, "Yeah, my friends and I mean, you know, it's this cult movie, blah blah blah. We just didn't really get it." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. You got to be
What you
in the
do
theater,
is
and you got to hear the talk back, you know."
Yeah,
and
all
throw
the-
rice and toilet paper. It's a whole project.
I know.
Oh,
I was explaining it all to her. I'm like, "Okay, you know the scene. Okay, well, you're supposed to go blah blah, you know." And I'm like explaining the. She's like, "Oh, that would be kind of cool."
That would be a lot of fun, actually, if you
Yeah.
went there and
it
did
was. It was a blast. I used to do it every Friday and Saturday, but that was at midnight after the rinks closed.
that. Yeah. My girlfriend could skate backwards. That was the important.
helps.
I couldn't. Yeah. So when they did the couple skate,
Right.
you know, this is couple
Oh.
skate, or they do girls choose boys, or guys, this is guys choice, or couple. Yeah. So my girlfriend could skate backwards, so that's all that mattered. I didn't need to be able to skate backwards. Skating forward, skating forward was fine. I did ask. So my roller skate ring actually opened in the '80s, and I did ask them to play "Walk This Way" one time, because you remember that the song "Walk This Way," and then they had the Run DMC version that came out in the '80s.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I didn't know about the earlier one, so I was like, oh, so I found that one. I'm like, oh yeah, Walk This Way, cool. So I listened to the earlier one. I was like, oh, this is way better than the Run DMC one, at least in my opinion back then. So I went in there and I asked the DJ to play, can you play Walk This Way by Aerosmith? And he looked at me and he goes, you know what year that came out? We don't have anything that came out before this skate ring opened up. And he almost berated me for one.
Here's you.
Yeah, I was like, well, excuse me, I will screw right off. So it was crazy.
You know,
Oh,
I'm a real nice person, but you give me a DJ with an attitude, you're gonna see another side of me.
yeah, for
I hate
sure.
that. I hate that so much. But you just, you know, all you're doing is asking. I mean, hey, unless you're going up to the DJ and telling him how to do his job,
Yeah,
okay, then you need to sit down. But
right.
you know, when you're like, hey, do you have whatever song? All they have to do is say no, you know. But
Yeah,
I've been berated by many.
And you know what? Sometimes it's a very personal matter. I mean, the song may not be popular, but you know, maybe it's to somebody who was really, really popular, or someone that you love very, very much, and they're not with us anymore. You know, there's usually some story behind a request. So don't get down on the person. Just as you say we don't
Exactly.
have it. Don't go,
Right. Yeah, and don't,
You
you know,
know?
don't judge me and make me feel stupid like I'm
Exactly.
uncool. I already know it. And you know what? I wear it like a badge.
There was somebody who mentioned ice skating, and I can't find it.
Now that I can do.
Let's see.
Spike Spikerson, the best things about the roller rink were the girls.
I have to agree.
Isn't that the best thing about everything? Come on.
Yeah, and the music.
Not a bowling alley. Ooh. Superplex. Disco roller skating was exclusive to the 70s, practically speaking. Well, it did cross over to an
I was
extent.
in the 80s. Mine was in all the way up till like I kept going there till like 85, 86, something like that.
John Collins. Trash Panda. I'm so glad your audio and visuals work all the time now. You are such an integral part of everything, my friend. John, you flatter me. Praise from Caesar. And you know what? Little secret. I actually have a backup. I have a backup set of headphones on Bluetooth and my very, very upgraded cell phone waiting in the wings. If I do crash on here, I will rip to there and not a moment's loss.
Nice.
The things I don't do for my fans.
Well, let's get this one here.
Denny Staten. OMG. Did a Rocky Horror Turns 40 video today on the good stuff, of course. It got a copyright and no one can watch it. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, sorry to hear that.
Too much footage from the show? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, what was I gonna say? I had something on the tip of my tongue. I was gonna. Did either of you living up in the north east? Did you guys do any ice skating?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
How was that for you guys?
I loved it. There was a really, really nice rink in downtown Hyannis. It was actually named after the Kennedys. It was Kennedy Rink. I used to go there from time to time when we lived in Hyannis, and even when we lived in Yarmouth, next town over. And also, I'm sure those of you familiar with Cape Cod know the cranberry bogs we have dotted all over the place. And in the wintertime, to keep the cranberry plants from dying, they flood the bog, and a layer of perfectly glossy ice forms over the top.
Ooh, nice.
So if the people who own the bogs are nice, they let you go down on those bogs and skate during the season. So there's plenty of non-rink related ice skating for people on Cape Cod as well. Never picked up hockey like a lot of my friends did, but just going out on the ice and having a good time. It was some hot chocolate in a flask. It was a very, very nice time to do on Cape Cod.
Did you wear hockey skates though, or did you just wear the regular ice skates? The regular ice skates. Robbie-Ann, tell me a little bit about what you did as far as ice skating is concerned, because it's a kind of a foreign thing for me.
Back in the woods there was also a quarry, really large quarry, and it froze over every winter. So my dad would go out there with the metal pole, and he would make sure that the ice was thick enough, and we would invite people over. And I had these figure skates that had double blades. So they're like starter blades. And boy, I was a little badass on those. But then as soon as you gave me a single blade skate, I'm exactly the same on rollerblades as I am on ice skates. You know, it's like I can't stop. I can't go backwards, but I can kind of get around the rink, you know. But I really love ice skating. I love hockey. Huge hockey fan. So I would pretend to play. I was a halfway decent goalie, but
Go Bruins.
Oh, that's it. I gotta go.
Oh no!
Sorry, I'm Cape Cod.
I know.
I don't understand.
Hey, listen. I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan. Okay.
Oh,
no kidding. No, that's why I said.
You want to talk long suffering? Oh my gosh.
I'm not getting any of these references. They're all going right over my head.
I know not a hockey fan at all, Ian?
I don't know anything about sports. I think you take the football and you hit a home run with it, and you try to get to the other person's side of the team.
Right. Only from center court.
Yeah.
From or something like that.
You throw the football in a basket, and then you run around bases and make a goal.
Or you get 5 for fighting.
Right. I was like that Brian Regan, like he tries to pretend he's into something. He's like, go my favorite sports team, score a unit on the other people, do it good, yay. Hooray. No, I never really got into it. I tried. I really tried, because so many of my friends were into sports, and I can't do it. Basketball, a little bit of it because it's kind of fast paced. So that keeps my attention for a while. If I have a friend who's really into basketball during a season of my life, I can sit and watch basketball. But I just like the other sports are just like, are you really?
Well,
That's
hockey's
gonna
just like
happen?
basketball.
I think that
same idea.
With a stick.
yeah,
Stick
I
and
think
stick.
I think that if I was living somewhere like, where it was more prominent, where hockey was more prominent, I think I could get into it. I think I
It's
could
not prominent in
like it.
Utah? How come?
Well, probably northern Utah, but down here in the desert, man, I mean, it's I still walked outside the day with my shorts on. So, I mean, just to give you an idea of
So
what
did
it's
I. I
like.
got arrested.
It's snowing already here. It's we had
Yeah.
our first snow a couple days ago.
The pond
Right.
behind my house is frozen over.
Oh,
Oh.
really? Ooh.
Mhm.
Awesome. It's
I
going
wouldn't
to be
skate
that
on it. It's not that frozen.
time of
Oh,
the
in
year.
fact, that beautiful cranberry bog I told you that's in my town, my pond is what floods it.
Oh,
Just a little trivia from my town bit. But that, if you ever go on my site, I have these like nice little sunsets over my pond. That's the pond I'm talking about.
nice.
Well, okay, let's get to a few comments and questions from our audience here.
Deborah Johnson says, every time Robbie-Ann says backwoods, I keep hearing the Ballad of Davy Crockett.
Davy Crockett.
King of the Wild
Wild
Frontier.
Frontier.
Let's see.
Kratos Minor says, our parks back home had skateries.
Our parks back home had skateries. I don't know exactly what that means.
Like
Like-
the
places to skate.
outdoor rinks, right?
Oh, okay.
Like Woolman Rink
Yes.
in New York.
Yeah,
Or
we have
Rockefeller Center.
a skate park here where I am.
John Collins. Robbie, and you said you're in bands. Do you have any records, CDs, or MP3s, or anything we can hear? LOL.
Maybe.
Well, that'd be
Maybe
cool.
Crockett.
A long time ago, I was in an original band, and we actually made a CD.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it.
You should upload it to YouTube.
That is
I
cool
have.
square.
Maybe I will. Yeah, I'm real proud of it. I mean, every once in a while I'll pop it in, and I just think there are some really great moments on it, and then there are other moments where I'm like, oh well, yeah, we could have done that better. But
You always most critically your own work.
well, sure. And listen, there were 4 of us, and then we hired a bass player because the bass player was like a revolving door. But there were 4 of us out in LA, and we were really committed to. We just wanted to do it. We wrote the songs, and Ian, you were talking before about the lyrics. I wrote all the lyrics, so I was
Awesome.
I was singing stuff I actually wanted to sing, except for a couple songs that someone else had written the words for, but the songs were okay with me, like I could relate. But yeah, you know what, John, I'll send you one. Okay, how's that? I have a box full of them.
Well, send me one too. I've got a tape. I would love to hear this, please. By all means.
All right.
You have to send us some of these.
I'll send it.
I have a tape that we did, except for it was mixed so badly that my vocals are like way up here and everything else is kind of way down here. And it was just me and the guitar. And it was at a church, and a guy, he said, yeah, I'll record it for you. So we went down to our church, and I, played and sang, and then the other guitarist played and stuff like that. But he mixed it so poorly that it's really difficult to listen to. So I'd love to put it up if I could do it again one of these days, but I just can't. But you should put yours on YouTube.
It's hard, the whole. If you've never really recorded or been a musician, even just an amateur like I was, just kind of doing it on the side, you don't really realize how complicated the recording process is and how hard it is to get all that stuff right. I mean, there's the playing part, right, where you have to get the performance right. But after that, there's miking and making sure that you get all that right. And then the whole mixing process is really, really tedious, and it's very important. And then there's mastering too. So yeah, it's really kind of crazy when you see how recording has come. Now it's digital and everything, and you can do it in your bathroom, but back in the day, like when we did ours, total sidebar here, but when we did ours, we recorded it in Pro Tools, and then we dumped it down to 2-inch tape, which is the old school way of doing stuff, and we mixed it through this 70s huge old mixing board at this place called Paramount Recording Studios in LA, because we wanted it to have this like classic rock old school sound. That's kind of how the songs are. They're very like 70s and 80s kind of sounding. And we were not prepared, I think, for how hard and how long the process is. I mean, you can tinker with a song forever.
Yeah.
Like it's just never done. And we would, the engineer would finally go, "Okay, you guys, no, it's done. Leave it," and we'd just be like, "Yeah, but you know what? The guitar, Yeah, it was a real interesting learning process, and I'm still really good friends with the one guitar player. But yeah, music, I highly recommend it if you can be in a band or just sit with your guitar or just having music somehow in your life, making it, whatever.
Right.
It's special, I think.
Yeah. I'm going through a little bit of a phase right now where I'm kind of writing more like acoustic pieces, like kind of more soulful kind of things. I don't know. We'll see. I've often thought about just coming in here and getting some tracks and laying them down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I got work and I got there's so much going on. I would love to do it. There was a punk band that came out and they were all 80 years old. This is like a few years ago. Seriously, they were good though. I mean, it was really good. It was really good. So, it's not necessarily over. I would, like creating music is not necessarily something that's a pastime in my life. I still would love to do it. It's just really difficult to find the time right now. Let's say hi to a couple of people who have joined us a little bit late.
Georgia Ayers says, "Hello, everyone." Hello to you.
Hello, hi, Georgia. Really happy that you could be joining us.
You're always on my mind.
And
you're peach, Georgia.
Let's see.
Even better. One DOD says, "Always good to see you, ENC."
Oh, thank you very much. One dude.
I'm guessing it's one dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess. And then he actually talks to you too, Thrash. So Thrash.
One dude says, "How you doing, Thrash?" "I'm doing just fine. Thanks, one dude."
And somebody was saying something about hearing Robbie and me do a duet of Davy Crockett. I don't know. Is it in the the public domain? I'm not sure I even know know the words. But
it was a TV theme, right? So
Davy. I'll do background beatbox.
Sure.
I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that.
We could end the show singing Davy Crockett. I think Robbie-Ann would definitely have to open up, and then I would have to follow along.
I don't even. That's the only part I know.
Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
Well, I keep going into the Battle of New Orleans in my head. In 1814, we took a little trip.
Yeah.
So I can't even keep the lyrics straight.
Amy and I just recorded an episode, so it'll be coming up in a few weeks on the Schoolhouse Rock series. And oh my gosh, I love it already. We had so much fun remembering all that stuff, like, and when we researched, all of them and the musicians and all that, and all the history ones, that was one season. Like they did season, like one season was numbers, one was grammar, one was
elbow room.
Right. And then the time for timer. That guy, the yellow
wagon wheel.
Right. Look, kids, a wagon wheel. Yeah, there was a whole. Did you know there were 7, or like wait, it was 5 or 7 time for timers? Like the only one I remember is the wagon wheel, but there was a whole bunch of them.
No, there's one where he shows you how to make, like, you take an ice tray and you put orange juice in it, and you put the
we got into
toothpicks.
that because it didn't work.
No,
Saran wrap did not hold the toothpicks up.
It was such a good idea too, though, but no, it did not work. Yeah.
I think that's why.
Tang.
I think that's why Gen Xers, one of the hallmark of Gen X is kind of more of a cynical attitude and cynical personality. And I think we've just been disappointed so much because we were the first generation to kind of grow up with the TV. And it's just like, okay, we got to see, we got to send away for things and have them come back and fall apart. And
Sea monkeys. Did you ever send away for sea monkeys?
We were talking about that. No, I actually got mine from a store.
Oh, okay.
They actually sold them in stores in my area.
In the back of my horror, I used to collect these horror comic books. Like,
who didn't?
Terrible, awful stories. I was like, wow, I was 8 years old. Yeah, and it looks like little dandruff flakes floating in the thing. I'm like, these are sea monkeys? Like, what the hell?
Right.
And the X-ray specs and all that. Yeah, I know, lies. All of it. Lies.
All of it lies. We were so jaded by the time we got to our teenage years.
What else haven't you told me? Enough of your lies.
All right. Well, we are going to be bringing things to a close here. Well, I mean, unless there's something else you want to talk about.
No, I'm exhausted. Oh no, my thoughts are exhausted. I have no more to bring to the table. It's just always sad when we have to wrap up a show,
Right. It's just like a little party that has to end.
Yeah.
So sad all the time.
It's time to say goodbye.
Okay. So, Robbie-Ann, please let everybody know where they can find you on the interwebs.
Oh, yes. Please join us. You guys, we love hearing from everybody. So you can go to our website, which is glitterboomgirls.com. That's glitterboomgirls.com. We do this whole nostalgia podcast. We talk about old stuff, happy days, the Schoolhouse Rock and Halloween. I don't know. We have these discussions and we're like, what should we talk about? And we just get excited. Like, why don't we, remember this thing? And I know when I was 8 years old, like it's totally organic. So that's what we do. And we're also on Instagram, Glitter Bee Girls, and we're on Twitter, Glitter Bee Girls. And we have a YouTube channel too. Just search Glitter Boom Girls on YouTube. So you can hear our podcasts anywhere that you hear podcasts. And also we had the joy of doing a live with Dave Sundstrom too. Which was super fun. So this is just so great. Thank you so much for having us on. I'm sorry Amy couldn't make it tonight, but
real sorry about that.
Really
I do want to do another podcast with the both of you though real soon here.
We'll set that up.
For sure. And Thrash Pondo Ponds, please let us know where everybody can find you on the World Wide Web.
You can still find me at Thrash Pondo Ponds on YouTube. You folks are starting to catch on. I have the 2 channels with the same name. It's a little confusing. But since I put on a post on my non-content channel, which now has content, me saying go to the other channel, you folks are finding it in droves. And I welcome all of you to my channel. It's so much fun having you. You people loved my last top 10 list of the worst "Why did the chicken cross the road" jokes, and thank you very much. And it was a science fiction theme too, Robbie-Ann. They loved it.
Yes,
and I'll be bringing you guys more of the best reviews of what I consider the best of vintage science fiction and horror literature and film. Not to mention some more of my silly Michigats. And thank you, folks, very, very much for joining me.
Yes, thank you. Don't go anywhere yet. Hey, everyone, please, if you haven't subscribed to these guys' sites or their Twitter handles or their friend finder or their MySpace, please go out and do that right now. And also do me the honor of liking and subscribing and hitting the thumbs up button on this video. And what the heck? Hey, there's a video that I thought about it, like if there's a video of mine that I wanted to make go viral, it's that Pac-Man video. So share that Pac-Man video, please, on your social media. That would really mean the world to me. I'd love to see that thing get up there to, astronomical levels. It would be awesome. And if you want to support us, you're always welcome to be part of our Cornflake Club, which is $3 a month, or you'll be part of the Honeycomb Hideout, in which you get all videos, most all podcasts 1 day early for just $5 a month, and you get to be part of that inner circle. And speaking of the Honeycomb Hideout, there's a video over there right now on 5 things you didn't know about perfect strangers. You get to watch it today before it comes out tomorrow. Yes, today before it comes out tomorrow. I have to say thank you to my guests. Thank you so much. You guys mean the world to me. And the people who are watching right now, you mean the world to me too. I love, love, love how interactive you are. It means the world to me. And, if my heart was not made of stone, I would cry right now. I really would. But I've learned to keep a good tight cap on my feelings over the years. But believe me, I am on the edge of tears, and I mean it. I love you all. Thank you very much for joining me. There we go. That's the I love you sign in sign language. I will talk to you guys again real soon. Take care, everyone.